I'm so excited to be here, you guys. So, it's getting to be Halloween time. And so I decided when I saw these cute little borders that I was going to put on the little cute border with a little pumpkin and the little ghost on there because I thought that was just really cute and really fit the times. All right. And let's see. So I just took Michelle out. So I'm going to bring her back on in. I'm going to show both of our names. I'm just going to click on here so both of our names show on here. But I'm really, really excited, you guys, because today we get to award our Best Resource Award. And our winner today gets to be Michelle Schaefer.
Woo! Thank you.
And we're so excited. I have to tell you, in the Ultimate Support Group for Online Tutors, Michelle, so many of us have been loving your blog headline creator called Hook Line Dynamics. It is incredible. So thank you for creating this amazing tool. I can't tell you how many times I'm constantly going to it, being like, I need a better idea. Let's try this. Or
same thing with it.
It's good. You have a good tool when you use it yourself, right?
Right.
Which is awesome. Fantastic. Hey, Terry's in the house today. Hey, something cool that we can do, Michelle, is we can even show that Terry says hello to everybody. We are so glad. So as you guys come on in, definitely say hi. We've got Ann Mitchell in the house. Woo, hey, Ann.
The holiday spirit there.
Oh, she totally is with that little pumpkin, isn't she? We love that. She added the pumpkin so that she could be part of this one. But then, you know what? Here's the thing. When I have to take away my name now because you can't see the cute little pumpkin with the little, candy corn. Maybe I'll just pop my name on up there once in a while so people know who I am. So I am so curious. Like when people create these amazing resources, I am always curious about what motivated you to create this resource?
Oh, that's a great question. So, I think a big part of it was I know there's tools out there that help you write better headlines, right? But so many of them don't really give you the people you need to be able to improve, really give you the score that you look at and go, oh, that's why this one is better than this one, other than just some really technical stuff. And if you're starting and you're new to all of this stuff you got to learn to put yourself in business, it can be tough if all you get is a score or a report that just gives you the surface details. Do something. So our idea behind this was not just to do but
yeah. Okay, so hold on one second. Terry says she can't hear. For some reason, you're super, super soft. And I was wondering if anybody was going to mention that you also sounded super soft. I'm like, is it my side? Oh, she's going to come back on in because I think you can only choose your controls when you first come on into the call. So that's what she's going to do. She's logging on out. She's coming back on in. She'll be able to choose her camera. All right. I'm going to bring her back into the broadcast. She's coming on in 3, 2, 1. All right. We're back. Much better. Now we can totally hear you. Yay.
Okay. So
awesome.
What I was sharing was the inspiration behind it really is I'm not a copywriter. And there's a couple of things the tool does that I just couldn't find anywhere that did. One of them is sometimes something can be improved and you see a score here, but you're not sure why the score is different, right? Mm-hmm. There's not enough details to really help you figure out. And it's not specific enough. Like my struggle is I don't tend to write really exciting headlines. I can get the emotion in there and the empowerment, but the excitement is tough for me. So having a specific score per word really helps me know, okay, when am I doing better? When am I getting closer? And having the ability to swap in different words and see, oh, okay, here's some other alternatives I can use is helpful as well, because that's not something that my brain naturally thinks of. And I know for copywriters, that's like, they have this word cloud in their heads and they always seem to have the right words, but the rest of us, that part can be a little bit of a challenge. So that was the idea behind it, is how do we make it easier for people to understand specifically which piece of the headline is improving, how they can make their headlines better, really grab people's attention. And then, of course, we added the Get Ideas thing that you mentioned a minute ago to give us a way to come up with ideas when you're feeling a little stuck or when you just want something more fun to write about or more creative. So it was a blast to put together, and I use it constantly. It's really helped me to be more aware of focusing on my audience and how they're going to perceive something, because sometimes it sounds really great in our head, and then when we get it out there, we're like, why is nobody clicking this?
Right?
So it really helps with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you bring up a good point. Like, a lot of us are not copywriters. And for our particular community, we're online tutors. So we know how to teach. But when it comes to all of like this business side of the stuff, that stuff is kind of hard for us, and we have to learn it. It's not like we can't learn it. It's just it doesn't come natural to us because we're not used to having to sell ourselves. And now I have to kind of sell my blog so people will read it. I mean, it's kind of like a backwards kind of idea for us. So it's a really useful tool.
Yeah. Well, it is for most entrepreneurs. We get into business doing something because we see a problem that we can help solve, right? And we don't get in it so we can suddenly become our own marketer and accountant and website designer and all of these other things that somehow we've got, a million hats we're suddenly wearing. So tools like this can really help with the learning curve on all of those hats.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I mean, one of the things I absolutely love is like you just start off. I wish I could share my desktop. I thought I could share my desktop, and then now it's not letting me share my desktop. I think I had to set it up beforehand, and I didn't.
Oh, okay.
But I did give the link here for people. So awesome. You can just click in the news feed. It is hooklinedynamic.com. And so what happens when you click on there is you click on like what you want your idea for a post to be, and then you can scan it. Now, what happens when you scan it?
Okay, so the way it works is, you type in, or you can use the Get Ideas thing to come up with some ideas first, but then the headline goes in the little box, you click the button, and it compares all of the words to a database that has 30, 40,000 words in it. And every word in the database has been ranked by thousands of people who shared on a scale of 1 to 10, that specific word, how empowered does it make them feel, how emotional, positive or negative, and how exciting does it rate on a scale of 1 to 10. So then when the score comes back, it looks at all of those words. Where do they rank? And then it also looks at things like, is it a how-to? Is it a question? Does it have a number in it? Things that really grab people's attention. So It's scoring based on all of those things, and it gives you a way then to kind of look at it and go, okay, so now I can start to improve this, to throw in some other ideas. You could swap out words. When you click on a word, you can see it'll drop down with some other suggestions, and you can see what their scores are. So if you know, for example, that your audience wants to feel empowered, that's what catches their attention, then you can specifically write a headline that's focused on really being empowering. And sometimes it's such small word choices make a big difference. One that surprised me the first few times I used it was I used to use the word write a lot. So here's how to write better headlines. When I started playing with this tool, I realized create is a much more empowering word. So is design. So words like that make us feel in control. We kind of intuitively, when we hear them, right, you know, oh yeah, that's a better word, but it's not always immediate in your mind to change that out. So the tool helps you think of what are some words you can swap in there, and then it shows you your new score each time you change out a word, so you can actually see it improving right in front of you. And then you can get a report where it shows you exactly why you score what you did and how you can improve it.
Now, what is the top score you can get for a headline?
Well, theoretically, a perfect 10.
Okay.
I think the highest I've ever seen is a 9.6, though. So if anybody gets a 10, please let me know.
There are bonus points available for this, people. I love it.
Anything over like a 7 is really, really good. That's generally what I try to shoot for, is at least a 7. Higher than that is great. And then specifically for which vector I'm going for, if I want something that's really positive feeling, I'll try to get that specific E of the 3 E's higher. Or if I'm looking for something really exciting, I'll try to get that one higher. So
yeah. Yeah, I had to say, like, just before, I know some people are joining in and they're like, who is this lady? Why is she here? We are here with Michelle Schaefer because she has created Hook Line Dynamic, which helps us be able to create killer headlines with really just a touch of a button. We just enter in a headline, it begins giving us ideas. It's so cool. I am using it all the time to create headlines for my blog posts. Other people inside of our community are also using it. So we are awarding her today with the Best Resource Award for 2017. We're super excited that she's here, is able to get this award, and now I could show your name on over here. There's so many things we can do. What I want you guys to do, if you guys have any questions as we're going through this call, feel free to type in those questions, and we'll feature them and answer those questions as we go along. So cool stuff. Now, we've got the Get Ideas part of the tool. And with the Get Ideas, I have to say, it was so incredible for me to begin getting ideas. And I find that sometimes I morph some of the ideas together, and I'm like, oh, this part would like sound really good with this part. Or I could write an article about this, or I could write an article about that. And so many different choices that we have available to us, because it just is a whole new way to think. Like, there's some great tools out there, like Uber Suggest, can give you some ideas, but not to the point like this tool does. So
the story behind that part of it was actually really a lot of fun to put together, because we went and scoured the internet for what are the most viral posts of all time. So we're looking at those crazy sites like, BuzzFeed and all of these others that their headlines get you to click, and then kind of dissect it. Okay, so what's the formula behind it? Where's the subject and the audience and the different pieces, so that when you use the Get Ideas tool, what you do is you tell it, so who is the audience you're looking to attract? What is the problem that you're looking to solve? What is the solution? What's unique about it? And when you fill in those blanks, it takes your words and puts them into those templates that are based on the most popular, most shared blog posts of the internet. So that it's putting them into a format that is what will grab attention. Because the thing is, and this is one of the things that I discovered because I've been blogging for so long, it doesn't matter how great your content is or how much value you've got on your website if nobody knows it exists. Right. And so learning how to write things that get people to click through really is key to being able to grow your business. That's the most important part of your blog post, is that headline, and being able to grab somebody's attention when they're not thinking about what we do. Right? We're the ones thinking about that all day. They're thinking about, oh, I'm on Facebook, I'm connecting with people, or I'm on Twitter, wherever they're at. But if you can grab their attention and get them to click, then all that content that you're creating, which deserves to be seen, gets seen.
Yes, absolutely. And that's half the battle, right? It's I used to think that I could just create my blog post, and because it was on the internet, then people would read it and engage with it.
I told somebody the other day when we were talking about that, it's not 1993 anymore. That actually did work way back when the internet started.
Dang it! I missed that train.
Right? It was very much there wasn't much competition. There were not all of these blogs and all of these businesses, and social media hadn't exploded. I mean, that was before Google existed, right? We were using Alta Vista and Lycos back then. And the web worked differently. Now you really do have to get your content out there in front of people. You can't just write it and wait for them to come. You've got to be the one going out there and saying, hey, over here, right? And getting their attention. So it's a fun skill actually to learn once you change the way you look at it a little bit and go, okay, I'm going to be the flashing neon sign because that's how I can help people. You have to, make that shift in your mind that you're okay with getting people's attention because you can't help them if you don't get their attention. So, that's where the tool comes in, is it really gives you a different way to think about it and a different way to approach what you're writing about, how you're writing your headlines, not just your blog posts, but your email subject lines. When you send out an email to your list, are they opening it? What can you write in that subject line that's going to get them to open it so that they click through and see your content and you can help them? Your sales page headlines, everything that you're writing, that first thing that grabs their attention, that's where you can use this to really, again, grab their attention.
Yeah. So if you're struggling, and you really bring up a good point that this isn't just for your blogs.
Mm-hmm.
This is for your other content as well. And that there are things that we can do to increase open rates. There are things that we can do to increase people reading through our blog posts, reading our email, being able to click on that video on YouTube, whatever our content is that we're creating. This is allowing it to get seen. And so I'm going to just throw it out there. People are crazy if they don't check out this tool and use it. It's absolutely free. So why would you not try it, right? I mean, it's absolutely cool. So what motivated you to keep this at a free price point?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because I know that you had to put your own money into developing it.
It was a project to develop for sure. I think really just knowing the potential, because I see so many entrepreneurs who really are so good at what they do and can make such a big difference for people, but nobody knows they exist, and they're struggling to get clients and they're struggling to build their business, and it doesn't have to be that way. Right. So really for me, it's something that I want to see people using because I want to see them successful, because when we succeed and then the people that we're helping succeed, that's what we're looking for, right? That's what makes a positive difference. And it's something that, as far as like how it fits into my business, there's an opt-in on the page. It'll invite you to set up an account, to get a report that explains a little more behind the psychology of what gets people to share, how you can create things that really powerfully grab people's attention. That gets you on my list. And then, of course, I will offer to help you with various things that I do in my business. But it was something that I really just wanted to get out there and give people a way to learn a little more about marketing in a more fun way and a more specific way, really, because you can dial in those different things and swap out words. And it was just, it was a lot of fun to build, but it did take some time.
Well, thank you for taking that time. And this award definitely is well deserved because, again, what an amazing, amazing tool. So, I'm already starting to think of like different ways now that I can begin using it too, that I haven't been taking advantage of, like using it within my emails and that kind of stuff, and I just want to give you just like, I just admire you so much and what you've been able to do. And yes, we want people to be able to see us and be able to create these cool kinds of tools gets you to be more seen, but it's because you want to be helping people even more in a bigger way. And I have to say, I've hired Michelle Schaefer as my own personal business coach. And she has guided me into how to create my own funnel for this side of my business that is beginning to get results. And, I've struggled for a little while over the past few years. And, it just felt like everything was just really slow going. And after just working with you for a couple of months, I feel like we've really hit on a winning formula that's really bringing more people in the door. So I know that's one of the things that you also offer people is that kind of business coaching as well. So anybody who I always say that, there's no competition out there. Yes, I do business coaching for online tutors. I got a different little take than Michelle has. We all come with our own unique experiences and resources and tools and know-how and all of that. And there's nothing saying that we can't all learn from each other, which is so cool.
Absolutely. And it's fun. Sometimes it's just a matter of where you're at in your business as to what you need at the moment. And I love that you mentioned putting funnels together, because that is something that for me is a ton of fun. And you'll see if you go to the site, that's the first step in a funnel as an example that gets somebody to opt in so that I can stay in touch with them and offer them different things in my business and continue sending helpful info to them. So it's there's a lot to learn when you're getting started with your own business online. But if you can kind of look at it like a fun adventure, it's a lot smoother of a journey, because there is a lot of hats, there's a lot to learn, but there are tools out there, there's people out there who can help you figure it all out faster.
Absolutely. When you go about this whole process on your own, becomes really overwhelming. And when you have other people that you can reach out to, it just becomes such an easier process, to be able to work through. It doesn't have to be as hard as what we make it inside of our heads.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I always think people think it's a lot easier until they start diving in, don't they?
Yeah. Once you really dive in, you realize how many different pieces there are suddenly to figure out. Because I started my business when I was really young and I had no clue what I was getting myself into. I was not a marketer. I was not a writer. And it's something that one of the reasons I share as much as I do about what I've learned is because I realize if you can learn from somebody who's already been through the learning curve, they've already made the mistakes, that can take years and years off the time required to grow your business. So I would just advise everybody, make sure that you're finding those people that you can learn from so you don't have to make the same mistakes that we did early in our business. Yes. You can jump to success faster with things. It's a much easier path to take. Plus, it's really a lot of fun.
It is. And Anne put on here, she said, I put Anne's on here. It says, you both are amazing and have helped tremendously. And Terry says, thanks for the free help at Hookline Dynamics. I need all the help I can get.
Feeling completely, there's always that next thing to learn, that next skill to master when it comes to running your own business. But it really is something that pays off. Because as you learn those skills, then you're able to do more of what you really want to do, which in this case is work with your students and help them through where they're at. So learning these things is a means to an end. And as long as you keep that in focus that you're doing this because you can help people as long as they can find you, then it makes it a little bit easier to jump in and figure it out.
That's the whole thing. And that's where, in the Ultimate Support Group and in the Insider Secrets Club, we really talk about creating that online presence. If you want to get online tutoring students, you need to create that online presence. Can you get started without doing that? Absolutely. You can talk to your friends, your neighbors, post flyers and all of that, but you're going to have to talk them into then online tutoring. And you're going to wonder why nobody wants online tutoring. If you find your online folks online, and they automatically find you, start doing the research on you, and they want to hire you immediately. I mean, there's very little conversation that needs to happen as a result of that. And when you're creating these blog posts that have, like, using the hook line dynamic, you're really targeting, their peak interests. And they're like, I wonder what that's about. Or, oh, why would you post about that? Or, you pique their curiosity to learn more about you. And so you had mentioned before, part of that funnel is getting people on your email list. And so when you have that email list, you then can send them your blog posts, because I always tell people nobody's going to sign up for your blog newsletter.
Sadly, not even my cat would sign up just to get my blog post. But people will sign up if you offer them something that they know will solve a problem. Mm-hmm. So really focusing on what are the problems that you solve, because the way to get somebody from the internet who has no clue who we are, right, to being willing to work with us and allow us to help them through our business is really to show them we understand them. Mm-hmm. And when you can write a headline that grabs their attention, when you can create a free gift for your email newsletter that solves a problem, they feel like you get it, like you understand what they're going through, you have a solution. And like Joanne said, when they come to you, then the conversation isn't, well, wait, how does this work? Does it really work? Do I need an online tutor? It's, how can I get started working with you? When can you fit me into your schedule? How do I send you money? Which is a much more pleasant conversation, right, to have with somebody. You don't have to do the convincing and the selling, because they already see that you get it, that you understand what they need. Having a presence really does allow you to build your business in a different way.
Yeah. And it's turned it into me having these really hour-long conversations to, I'm able to close a sale on anybody who comes to a free assessment. I have a 98% closing rate.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I know a big piece of it is because of the online presence. I know that they're not going into it stupidly. I know that they're not just like randomly just finding me like on one YouTube video and they're like, that's the woman, I'm going to contact her right away. I know that they've actually taken the time to research me because that's what we do as human beings. We're very curious. But if the coolest thing is, you guys, we get to put all of our information out there.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, nobody's writing about us unless you're like, you've been in the paper, you've like gone to jail or something. Or
I'm not sure that helps in the tutoring business.
Probably not.
You don't want that type of press. No, that is a cool thing. It's both a little bit of a challenge, right? Because we got to write about ourselves, but it also gives you the freedom to present yourself the way that you want to say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm about. This is how I can help you. And when we do that effectively, like you said, people are able to research us. They're able to go check us out and go, okay, this is somebody who gets it. I can trust this person to help me solve the problem. And that's really what everything is about when it comes to your online presence, from how you write your headlines, which you'll notice if you go through that Get Ideas tool, it's very focused on here's a solution. Here's the problem you're dealing with. Here's a solution. And it puts some kind of crazy twists on it, but all of it focuses back on what your readers, your ideal clients are really looking for in a way that allows you to build that trust with them, to show them that you get it, you understand them. Because that's what makes people feel safe investing with you and hiring you and your business.
Now, you mentioned about the formula that you use to be able to, that you use to kind of create these amazing blog headlines and using these formulas. What are some of the formulas that you've noticed that are getting really great results?
Okay, so a couple of really easy templates that you can use. One is how to X, even if Y. So how to create an amazing blog post, even if you're the worst writer on earth. Okay, so think about what's a result that your audience wants, and what's one reason they would tell you they can't get it.
Mm-hmm.
So for my audience, it's I'm not a writer. I'm terrible at writing. So they want to create blog posts that are really amazing, that have good value, that people want to read, but they don't feel like they can write. So if I say how to create an amazing blog post, even if you're the worst writer on earth, that's something that may get my audience's attention. Another one is always a good one. Numbers. So 7 ways to XYZ, like someone they admire. So 7 ways to write great headlines, like, somebody who writes great headlines off the top of my head here. But if you can put together a specific
like
number
Michelle
of
Schaefer.
tips. Thank you. Or a specific number of steps, that helps too. So like 3 easy steps to creating magnetic headlines that will attract the right audience to you. Something like that. So it might be 3 easy steps to ending your fights over homework, whatever those things are that your audience is dealing with. And you want to remember your audience. So especially for tutors, this one's important. Your audience is whoever holds the credit card. So it's not necessarily the person you're working with. It may be that person's parents or spouse or someone else. So keep that in mind. The audience that you're thinking about here is who holds the credit card and is going to hire you. What are the frustrations they're dealing with? Can you give them 3 tips or 3 steps to help them end that? Use that formula in your headlines. And that's a couple that work really well to grab people's attention. Another thing to do is just notice when you're on Facebook, when you're on Twitter, what are you clicking on? What's grabbing your attention and why? Stop and ask yourself before you click anything, even if it's a cat video, ask yourself, or a wedding dance or whatever it is, why am I clicking on this? And if you start doing that and start noticing what grabs your attention, you'll be able to apply that to your own materials that you create, because you'll be thinking a little bit differently about it. And that's really the key to it, is changing the way that you look at it so that you can grab people's attention.
Yeah, I call it the swipe list.
Yes. Anytime I open an email, I save that email and I go back and look at the subject line. Oh, okay, what was it that got me in this one?
Yeah, exactly. And then I start looking at the regular content. Okay, how did they write this? Isn't it amazing how you start paying attention more to that kind of stuff compared to, just start in the beginning? Oh my gosh, if I were to compare how I wrote in the beginning to how I write now, it's like night and day.
I joke with people all the time, please never ever go back and read my early blog posts.
when did you start blogging?
2008.
Okay. So don't go back to 2008, Michelle Schaefer. Don't do it.
Oh my gosh, they were so boring. I thought I had to write very professionally and, use big words and proper punctuation and, never start a sentence with so or and or but or all of the things that you're taught in high school English or college classes. And it took me a while to realize that is boring as heck, right? It's not interesting. And if you want people to engage with you, to actually see who you are in a way that you get clients who are a really great fit for you, you have to let your personality come through a little bit and just write the way you talk. Write the way you would say it if you were sitting down over coffee with somebody and saying, hey, look, here's the deal. This is what's wrong and this is how we fix it. Instead of trying to sound very professional and in the meantime, putting your readers, if you have any, to sleep. Because I didn't have any readers back then. It took me a little while to figure it out and to start.
Did you write in full paragraphs back then too?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Very full paragraphs, structured properly. So you have your opening paragraph with the topic sentence, then you have your 3 supporting paragraphs, and then you have your closing. That does not work well for a blog.
This is just such a really awesome conversation for the people in our group, because actually, as educators, I've heard a lot of people that are really struggling with this idea of how writing on a blog is so very different than any writing they've ever done. And I've had people ask me this question: how do you feel about that? And I'm like, if it gets people reading my stuff, I feel great.
That's the thing. It is a shift, especially if you've been through more of the education system and you've gotten so many of those papers back with all the little red marks and the underlines and the triple underline and all of the proofreading marks our teachers use. Because it's just not that way unless you are writing your PhD dissertation, in which case please use correct punctuation, grammar, and structure in it. But if you're writing for the web, you're really just writing like you talk to somebody sitting down over coffee. One thing that can help is if you use speech to text. So if you just record yourself talking and let your computer transcribe it, there's lots of different programs, Google Docs, you can click the little microphone and just talk right into your computer. It can help you to kind of break that habit because then, we talk a little bit differently sometimes than we write if we're very trained with the writing. So that can help you to get outside of that a little bit. You may want to do video and just post videos on your blog. But those are things that will engage with people more because you really want to meet people where they're at. Because if you come across, there is a line. You want to be professional. You want to come across as somebody credible. So I'm not saying leave misspelled words in your blog post or anything like that.
Terrible idea for a tutor.
Yes. Especially if you are an English tutor.
Right.
Now you might be able to get away with it, but reading in English, and that's something to keep in mind is who your audience is and what you're selling, because you want to be credible. But at the same time, your tutors probably know this too, the studies show the average grade level for reading is not, 15 halfway through college. Most things that sell well are written at a 6th grade level.
Newspapers are written at a 4th or 5th grade level.
Yeah. And it's something that, and magazines, depending on what you're reading, it keeps going down. And it's something to be aware of because it's not about using the fancy words. It's about making something easy to read so that people want to read it. I mean, it's kind of like if you justify all your text and your eyes get really tired, right? When you're trying to read that because you can't track where the end of the line was. Instead, letting it be all staggered on the end, which designers hate. They want to justify it, make it all pretty, but you're making it harder on your readers.
Yeah.
So just remember that, the person coming to your blog to read, they probably don't have a PhD. They're probably not looking and judging you that way. What they're looking for is, does this person communicate in a way that I can easily understand? Do I feel like they get me and can I trust them? So just kind of talking the way you talk to a friend really is the way to approach what you're writing in your blog, and it will help your audience feel relaxed and at ease. Because think about it, when we read a professionally written paper, we're in a totally different mindset than if we're reading a novel or if we're reading a letter from a friend. If you want somebody to feel relaxed and feel like they can trust you, you want to write in a more casual way. And that's okay. Again, don't leave misspelled words in there. Don't forget your commas. Don't use the wrong word. But also don't write to such a level that it tires people. If I have to think really hard and go grab my dictionary while I'm reading a blog, I'm probably not going to finish reading it because that's too much work.
Exactly. And it's amazing how important those headings are, those H2 tags. Not only is it great for SEO, but those H2 tags are really important to grab again, to reinterest your readers so they can quickly glance and they can decide which parts is it that I need to focus in on, because we don't want to waste their time and they don't want to waste their time. They might not want to read the whole post. They might want to just look at this one piece, right? And so we want to make sure that we are organizing it properly for them. And
that's another thing to really think about is most people do not start at the beginning of your post and read straight down word for word. Almost no one reads that way. Think about how you read a web page. You read the headline and then you scan down, right? And you look at these different little pieces and then you're like, okay, this one caught my attention. Let me read this paragraph. Oh, bullets. There's a bullet list. Let me see what's in the list. Or here's the numbers or the checklist. Those are the captions on photos. Those are the things that grab our attention. And then we decide, am I going to scroll up and read the whole thing? So if we're writing in that really formal way and we don't have it broken up with those subheadings, not only does Google not like it, but our readers, it doesn't grab them either. So you want to think about there's kind of two paths for readers. The first one is they skim down through it. They see the bold stuff. They see the headlines. They see the big words. They see the lists. And then they go back up if they decide if you caught enough of their attention and they read down through it again. So that's a really great point. It's interesting because when it comes to SEO, people forget that the best way to optimize your blog post for search engines is actually to optimize it for readers. Because it's the same. The way that a reader actually likes to see things presented is what will rank well in the search engines, because the search engine's job is to deliver results that make you want to use their search engine more. So if Google brings me back results that it's not interesting to me, I'm clicking through and clicking right back, I'm going to go try Bing or I'm going to go try Yahoo because Google's results weren't helpful, right? So their goal really is to help the reader find what they're looking for, find answers to whatever they typed in. So when you're thinking about SEO, just realize those two things are really in alignment. You don't have to write differently for search engines than you do for people.
Right. Now Terry asked the question, how does the SEO of video blogs compare to text blogs? So you want to know those keywords for both pieces of it. It's where you enter those keywords that changes just a bit.
Yeah. So
if you want to touch on that?
Yeah. If you're doing video blogging, you got to keep in mind that right now search engines still are not at the point where they can really index video well. They're getting there. They can. If you're on YouTube, YouTube can transcribe your video now. It's really funny to go back and read the machine-generated transcript. They're not always accurate, especially if you speak quickly or you have an accent or any of that. But they're getting there. They're working on the technology. Right now, though, what Google's really looking at for SEO is the words on the page. So if you're doing video blogging, you want to make sure that you've got text on the page as well that kind of summarizes and hits those main points. When you do video, the purpose there is more to connect with your audience in a different way, because when we see somebody on video, they come across differently, right? You can see their energy, you can see what they're excited about versus written. Now, where SEO comes in for video is YouTube, getting found on YouTube. So having your keywords in your description, in your title, in your tags, that's where that part really can help you to get found, because people are searching differently on YouTube than they are at Google for blogs.
Yeah. And so then on your blogs, you want to make sure that you have your keywords in your title, in the first paragraph, in the last paragraph, in your H2 tags. And then you want to make sure that you also are, you focus on one keyword specifically, your main keyword, you're focusing on it. And I use Yoast when I use WordPress to help me organize that.
Well, and always ask yourself, if my reader was looking for this, what would they type in? Because sometimes we optimize for the wrong phrases because, again, we're not thinking what would my reader type into Google. So always ask yourself that. If somebody were going to type this into Google, they wanted to find this solution that I'm writing about, how would they phrase it? Because they don't know the technical industry-specific terms that we do for whatever our specialty is. So think like your reader, and that's the phrases you want to optimize for. You want to think exactly what would they type in a search engine.
Yeah. And so we use instakeywords.com a lot. And so, H2 means heading to. Mm-hmm. Heading to. So you know how it says like paragraph, heading 1, heading 2, H2 is the heading 2. But when we are trying to figure out what keywords are people actually searching for, Insta Keywords is a great free tool because we can just look in there and be like, okay, are people really searching for this? Because if they're not, should I even create content on it? It depends. Is it like something that's just coming out? Sure, create the content. You don't know what will happen. But if they're not even searching it, it might not be the best use of your time.
You want to make sure you're answering questions people have. And that's another really important thing, which the Get Ideas tool helps you with that, figuring out what are those questions and how do you approach those. But you want to really be aware of how your audience sees their problem. Because they don't see the solution the same as we do. We know what'll really solve it. Very often they think it's a slightly different solution or a slightly different problem. So you've got to, again, meet them where they're at and focus on how do they see the problem? What are they calling it? What are they searching for? You can find that out by having conversations with them, really listen to the way they phrase things. That'll help you more than anything else know where to start when you're researching keywords. Or go look in Facebook groups or on Yahoo Answers or some of those sites where people are typing things in and you can see how they phrase it. Start there with your keyword research.
Quora is a good one too, where people will ask a lot of questions and you can even answer them in Quora and then you can create a blog post on that. You can even like get other people in the community to be able to create a Quora answer and then focus. You could have like links to your different websites for people to be able to find you.
And that's a great way to get more of your ideal readers to your website too, is to know what websites are they on? Where are they asking questions that you can go and get in front of them? Because again, your job is not just to create your content, not just to do what you do in your business, but to get people's attention so they know you exist. So you've got to go to where they're at and really show them you can help them.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Michelle. Again, congratulations on winning the Best Resource Award.
Very honored.
You're going to be featured on our Become an Online Tutor. We're going to be putting this on YouTube, and we're going to put it on our Become an Online Tutor page, and we're going to continue to be spreading the word about this amazing tool. So thanks again for creating it, for sharing more with us about how we can create these killer headlines and how we can create content and where we can post that content. We really did cover a lot of information today. So really, really great, juicy stuff. So thank you again for sharing and being here with us.
Thank you. I'm excited to hear so many of your tutors are using it, and thank you for the award. I'm happy to see it out there helping more people to be able to do what they do and reach more people with their businesses.
Awesome. Now next week, we get to have our Tutorpreneur Hero Award. And I cannot wait to introduce who is going to be our winner. So stay tuned, you guys, and catch us next week at 2:00 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the week. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Bye.